That was fun.
Yep.
That was
We're
that was a blast.
We're three minutes late. 3 minutes late. We had just a tiny bit of editing we had to do to our stream to get it to work. But anyway, welcome, people of the world. I am Tim Salviti. This is Joel Bartley, lead gameplay programmer.
Something like that.
Thomas Hart from Sero. Today we are going to be playing Edge of Nowhere, which many of you know is our first VR game that we made. When did that come out? June of 2016, right? Yes.
Yeah.
June 6th, I believe it was.
Sounds right.
It launched on the Oculus Rift. Is Adam playing the game yet?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, we gotta jump into the game now.
Blasted ahead.
You didn't wait for us.
You didn't say no?
Adam's over here playing the game. So here we go. We're playing the game. But anyway, it came out June 6, 2016. It's a third-person VR game, which is interesting. It was, at the time, one of not very many third-person games on VR. There was a couple others.
Well, this was also before touch controllers, so...
Yes, this was pre-touch controllers. So you use the gamepad. Hold it up. Show everybody. Just don't pull the cord out. Yeah, see? Gamepad.
You can use the touch controllers, though, right? We added that?
Yes, we did.
I'm arcade.
you can use them as regular controllers, but moving your hands around doesn't do
Yes,
anything.
the motion doesn't work, but we did have native touch support recently, actually. It was the end of last year, I think, sometime. And that just makes it a little better. You gotta turn this up a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking for that remote.
Turn it up! Turn it up! Good afternoon, Kron. So let's talk about this game real quick. Well, do you want to watch the cutscenes? Do you guys want to watch the cutscenes?
I get scared.
Well, you can't not watch the cutscenes, so...
Yeah, but we can talk about what happened in the cutscene.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we did see Red Dead 2 release date. At least I did. I'm excited about it.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, me too.
When is
October
it?
20-something. 26th? 29th? Something like that.
Sweet.
So the premise of this game is... Well, you're finding out right now. You crash land in the Antarctic because you're on an expedition. Not expedition.
Expedition.
God.
This is an expedition, right?
This is an exhibition. Yeah.
The whole game is kind of a homage, I guess, to Mountains of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
HP
Mountains of Madness or In the Mountains of Madness?
At the mountains, I thought.
At the mountains?
I don't know. It's
There's some
Lovecraft.
madness
It's
in
Lovecraftian. It's Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
You need to crop that top. That crop got deleted. So yes, it's a like a love letter to Lovecraft.
Love letter to Lovecraft.
In fact, it started with Brian Algeier was right. He was the creative director on the game.
Yeah.
As many of you know, Brian was from Ratchet Games, a lot of Ratchet Games, Tools of Destruction, like the Future series, and I mean he worked on a lot of the old Ratchet games.
The PS4 Ratchet.
Yeah, PS4 Ratchet. He's worked on a lot of Ratchet games. But anyway, this was, sort of his, not just his idea, but a lot of it was his idea. The concept of the game, not doing a VR game. Let's take a step back real quick though. I think you were one of the first people to work in VR in the studio, right?
Yep.
So we started, I think it was one guy in the studio, one of our old designers got a dev kit, like a DK1 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the first time I ever saw anything
I remember
VR.
he had whatever demo it was where you're running around some sort of medieval village or something with an Xbox controller. And I remember putting the headset on and not knowing anything about VR sickness yet.
Yeah.
And just running around, right stick turning all the way like I would a normal shooter. And after about 2 minutes, I took the headset off and did not feel good at all.
No. I played that demo. I went to his desk, sat down. That was DK1. Put it on. I ran
it's
around.
also like 300 by 200 resolution or something.
I ran around for, I believe it was like 30 seconds before I said, I'm done, I'm good. No more. This is not that. The Rift is way, way better than the DK1.
Yeah. When we upgraded, so we started off developing on the DK2 headset for this game, and I guess it was probably like halfway through development, we got the new version, the Crescent Bay kits, and it was such a significant step up in the resolution, and the screen door effect was much better.
View the journal. Go back.
That everybody.
You want to skip cutscenes but read journals?
No, we're gonna play through the whole game.
Everybody was really happy.
Let's play the game like it's meant to be played. We're not speedrunning. Oh yeah, I remember that because especially the artists and those guys.
Yeah.
But so how it kind of came about, if I remember, we like I said, a guy in the office had a dev kit. We kind of messed with it. People were like, "Oh, VR is kind of cool," but nobody actually we didn't plan a VR game right away. We did have a few people that were really interested in starting to work in VR, and then at one point, that's when Oculus approached us and asked us, "Would you like to make a VR game?" And those group of people, that small group of people, was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then that's how this game was born.
And so actually there was a team in Burbank who started off prototyping it while we were still working on Ratchet? I don't even remember
Had to
what
been
we
Nexus.
were working on.
It was Nexus.
Yeah, maybe into the Nexus. And they did some prototyping and, tried to figure out ways to do a camera that didn't make people barf. Which one of those is sort of what we ended up here, which is it's a third-person camera. It follows behind the character, but it never turns on its own, which led to a lot of constraints in the game design. Basically, the whole game has you moving forward because you can't turn around easily. And one of our directives with this initial game was to make it absolutely comfortable. There shouldn't be any VR sickness at all for anybody except for the most sensitive people.
I'm pretty sensitive. I remember playing. What was it? That was we had a 2-hour playtest when we had
Right.
It was before alpha.
Yeah.
And we were I think it was Duncan or Mike Daly. It was Mike Daly. He was like, come to my desk. Who wants to play for 2 hours? And I'm like, oh my god, because I get sick. And I was like, I'll play for 2 hours. So I literally sat at his desk, and this was really early on. This was before the camera was finalized, before all the the frame rate.
It wasn't nearly as smooth.
Yeah, 90 hertz wasn't 100% 90 hertz.
Yeah.
So anyway, I sat down at his desk, and I remember I had to put a fan on me, and I had a Coke, and I was playing 10-minute blocks, and I was taking breaks in between, and the fan was blowing on me, and I was drinking the Coke, trying to stay unsick. But since then, we made it a lot better. And so early on development in VR was not good for a lot of people. I remember people would bump their trackers and or accidentally bump someone else's tracker, and that person would have to rip their headset off or almost fall over to the floor.
I think we probably had a few busted headsets from people dropping them on the floor.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It was fun. But so when you started this game, when you jumped on this game, I know, first of all, we tried to do third person because, Oculus said, let's make a third person game because we see a market for that with VR, because we want to show that VR is capable of not just what people thought it was capable of.
And also, third person is kind of our wheelhouse
Yeah.
as a studio.
Yeah. So when you started, what was the first major challenge that you encountered in VR development?
Well, in terms of just developing, there's a big difference because you've got this headset you gotta always keep putting on and off. So one of the things that we had to do was make sure the game was playable in non-VR. So we had to introduce, some whole new debug things where you can use the right stick on a controller to, simulate the headset, but only in a debug mode. And just as a programmer, you're constantly having to look at code and if you're debugging something, like checking where you are in the code versus what's happening on the screen in a regular game. But with the headset, it's like, okay, put it on, okay, lift it up, check something, put it back on, lift it up. It just becomes a lot more difficult. So there was a lot of like learning what the best ways were to do things, just in terms of actually making stuff. In terms of the game itself and the design, one of the biggest problems that we had was the hero. So Insomniac always, the player character, we call it the hero, and we've had, the same code, the same basic code running our heroes going back to Fuse for the
new engine.
the particular code that we're using now, but even that code is adapted from the old PS2 code. So really going back to the original Ratchet games and before, a lot of that code is structured the same, and some of the movement logic is been transferred along the generations. So we have a good base for when you press the stick, it feels good that the character moves forward. When you press the stick to the right and turn, he does a nice smooth turn and he bends into the turn, and it just feels good to control. In VR, it felt terrible when we took those same numbers and those same types of settings and applied it. When you played the game in non-VR, just on the PC and looked at the screen, it still felt fine.
Yeah.
But when you played it in VR, it felt really light and like the character was floating on air. And it felt like when you pressed the stick a direction, he was too twitchy and he moved too fast. I think a lot of that was the frame rate. Running at 90 frames per second makes the response that much faster, because you've got the input latency is much less. But even beyond the input latency, like at one point I actually introduced input latency to the VR version just to see if that was the only problem.
Yep.
And that wasn't the only problem. It still didn't feel right.
Thomas, just flip the other one. Sorry, just flip the other one. Turn it on.
Oh. Gotcha.
Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean that's
so we ended up having to come up with a whole like new set of numbers, a new set of controls, and new code too, to make the turning and the movement start up and feel good. And myself and Ben, our animator, did a lot of work back and forth, trying to get all that stuff feeling right in VR. So right now, like with the way that we have it all set up, it feels pretty decent when you play it in VR. If you played it in non-VR, it would feel like crap.
Yeah.
It would feel like super sluggish and like it doesn't control well.
Yeah. But I mean that's one of the challenges to developing for a new medium. That's just from your side, the programming, the animation side.
Yep.
Not to mention, art and design. Like design, you can now look. Maybe Adam can show us. You can kind of like look everywhere you want now. You can look places that you probably never could look, or we could hide certain places in like Ratchet or Sunset, where the camera would never actually hit that.
Right.
Now it's like you can look anywhere. You can see. Look, he's looking up underneath a rock.
You could try to stick your head inside that rock.
So those are design challenges as well, from the environment, from the level design, the encounters, combat, all that stuff. So it's and UI is another thing. UI is something we worked hard with this game, and then we with Feral Rights and then the Unspoken, we took a lot of those lessons forward. Of course, the problem with that was they were all different games. Like
Yeah.
This had a follow cam. Feral Rights has a fixed cam, and then Unspoken's a first-person game. So it's like they're all three completely different cameras.
And the Unspoken is a totally different control method.
Yeah, you're right. The movement, motion controls.
I think with Unspoken, we finally got it to be like a true VR user interface, where a lot of the stuff that you're doing, you're picking up real objects in the world, and to enter a game, you're slotting this orb into the slot, and that just feels better in VR than clicking through a menu.
Mm-hmm. So let's, for those watching, let's recap a little bit. So your plane crashed. You're trying to figure out what happened to the group of researchers that was there. You've found their camp. They're not there. You're traveling into this mountain. Oh, you're dying. You're dying. You're traveling into this mountain, and you started hallucinating, sort of. Like there's a scene, I don't know if you saw it, if you were watching, where you walk through a house, and then you start encountering these crazy, almost alien-like things.
And back at the beginning, there's also that tent you go into the beginning where there's that first journal. Oh, maybe that's not where it is. At some point on the table, there's like a dissected,
I know.
like creature.
I don't
actually remember
if
if it's there or another similar
It might- yeah.
I think
location.
it was at this part.
Yeah, I think it happens a little further. But
Yeah.
spoiler alert! No, we're gonna be playing through the whole game. So,
You're searching for your wife, right? That's why you're after this expedition.
I don't think it's his wife.
Fiance.
Yes.
Fiance.
Yes.
But yes, you're trying to
She
figure out
was
what's
on
going
the
on.
expedition. The two main characters, other than yourself, are her and Captain Edwards, who was leading the expedition.
Mm-hmm. So ask your questions if you got them. Otherwise, we're just going to play through Edge of Nowhere. We're going to talk with Joel. At some point, we'll switch with Adam. Adam can talk a little bit about lighting in VR, because that's also a challenge. But yeah, if you got questions for Joel about VR development, about Insomniac games in general, about Edge of Nowhere. So basically what you do is you find these journals, as you just read. You find pieces of information. All the while, you start going crazy.
This rope is a cool thing.
Oh, yeah,
that
the
we
vertigo?
made just for this game. If you see like the rope, it like behaves rope-like at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's a little jerky, but it's pretty good. And one of our programmers, who's he's actually not with the company anymore, but he did a really nice job making that rope work.
I will say that scene, and there's another scene where you go down a rope. That's like, it looked okay, right? If you're watching it at home, but when you have the headset on and you're looking down and you get that sense of vertigo.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like one of the first times I played VR and was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Or that, or when you're running down the mountains and you can look over the edge of the mountain. That's what made like the enhancements to a third-person game. Even though you're playing with a gamepad and it's a third-person game, you get those enhancements by having it in VR. And we worked a lot with trying to figure all that out. Because those were things, like, we didn't want to just make a third-person game. We wanted to make a third-person VR game. It said sprint.
It did, but I hit the wrong button.
The climbing also was something new.
Hello. Unartiflex. Man, I can't even say these names.
Artifacts.
When's there going to be just like a Bob or Tom? No offense to
Don't
anyone's
judge.
names, because I mean I have a weird screen name too, so it's hard to pronounce them. Oh, I nailed it! Nice. Unartifacts. Does that have a meaning? Is there a meaning to that name, or is that just cool? And we got Zeke here, we got Levinsky here, we got Kron here. Who else we got? Jay Benito. Insomniac Games is here. Hey Corey, how's it going, man?
So you're talking about the climbing.
Yeah, actually, so climbing, we never did a game with climbing like this before.
No.
I mean, we've had
What are we,
Ratchet.
Naughty Dog?
Yeah. We've had Ratchet climbing on ledges, and Fuse had ledges.
Yeah, that's right. Fuse did have a little bit of climbing to it.
But
Not this kind.
But this, like, free climbing, we'd never done before, so we had to do a lot of work to get this to work. And when you're up on the edge of the ice wall and you look down, it's a pretty cool feeling in VR.
Yeah, it's and I'm just gonna beat that horse to death with, you don't know until you put the headset on.
Yes.
It's just cool.
It's true. That's one of, like, at least for me, one of the really big, like, wow moments. This is a new kind of thing. Is once you look down. For me, it was in the Unspoken, and you see a huge pit, and you're just like, whoa! You get a little nervous about it. Like I could fall in that.
So we saw him swinging, and I remember early in development, Ben, and all you guys really trying to figure out attacks and swinging the axe and how it felt, because you can see there's weight behind it when he swings. Because we wanted to make it a sort of a stealthy game, right? Not a fast-paced hack and slash.
Yeah.
And that's partially also to do with comfort, right? But so I remember there was that whole like development process of how does he swing the axe, and seeing all those early prototypes, and then where do we ended up? There's just a lot
of like back and forth on that also of, well, all right, let's slow it way down like a human could swing an axe. And then, well, no, that doesn't feel good if it's that slow. So let's speed it back up.
Ooh, look at that thing.
Going back and forth to get it right.
Yeah, I always find it fascinating where you walk that fine line of, in the years I've been in game development at Insomniac, that fine line of like arcadey and realistic versus realistic. For this game, you can crouch and walk. In a lot of stealth games, like if you really tried to crouch and walk like that for like 4 hours, like no human could crouch like that and walk like that for that long a period of time.
And also, it has to be fast. Like people don't want to like do that slow crouch walk.
Yeah.
I remember when we were making this, we were looking at a few games for for reference for crouch walk, and I was looking at Batman, Arkham Asylum, or whichever one was probably out at the time, and you actually speed up compared to the regular walk when you crouch walk in that game.
Wow.
So
interesting.
It's like the regular walk's like sort of a standard walk, and then you go into the crouch and you go faster.
Yeah.
I guess Batman's a superhero, so he can do that.
Well, it happened. Like, there's a lot of games like that where you get quieter when you crouch. Which to me, if I was crouching and I was grunting and trying to, like, I would not be quiet when I crouch.
You're like, oh, my abs,
my calves, my thighs, everything's burning. My knees hurt.
Yep. My knees are crackling.
Yeah. But no, you're quieter when you crouch. That's a thing. It just feels really cool when you see how a lot of this motion is because of the headset, but when you watch this game, it kind of feels almost like cinematic because of that.
It feels terrifying.
It feels terrifying. That's what you went for because it is. Ooh, that was close. Adam is the king of dying on stream. You might want to go.
That's a feature that made it in late. The hanging down off the end of the bottom. And sliding down, it made a big difference to how cool it feels to save yourself.
Yeah. As with all of our games, here we go. You might want to get out of there. So like this sequence right here in VR where you can look around and see all the guys and it's like, oh my god. Like in some games, and I'm not knocking those games, but in some games you're running and there's guys chasing you, but like all you see is what's in front of you. You can't turn around.
You do have to keep looking where you're going, Adam.
But yeah, it just feels really cool. And I think we kind of nailed that feeling of terrifyingness and suspense while still, in a VR headset, without making it first person, obviously. Did you die again? Oh, no.
No, there's the ledge there.
Have a little faith.
Have a little faith.
I kind of want to play this game in first person.
Yeah. Well, we'd have to mess with the locomotion a little bit, I think. Maybe not. Maybe you could play it with just the If you have a comfortable, like a steel stomach, you could probably do it.
Yeah, it would definitely require some heavy VR legs.
Mm-hmm. That's why you don't skip leg day. Exactly. If you're going to be a stealth video game character, you do not skip leg day. So here's the other thing: these cutscenes. So there's his fiance, but the cutscenes in VR, because you don't just in a regular game you just put up the cutscene, right?
Yeah.
In VR, you're going to be able to look around. So
yeah, you have to be a character in the cutscene, since your head is there. So the character can be like a camera, which that's sort of what it is here. But you can't just be like, I don't know, like, first of all, you can't move the camera during the cutscene or you'll make people sick. So there's a lot of restrictions on what you can actually do.
Yeah. So you got to make it interesting enough where they don't turn away, so they don't miss it. At the same time, you have to make it sort of interactive.
Yeah.
And for Edge of Nowhere, we did this type of thing. For Feral Rights, we kind of did like a comic booky, where you keep watching it as it goes.
Yeah, and they had an interesting thing where they had multiple layers of movies that played on top of each other to give you sort of a 3D effect.
Yeah. By the way, so this game is on PC, but you have to play it with a Rift, or something compatible with Oculus Home.
Some way to play an Oculus game.
You need to play an Oculus game. Let's just say that. But it's designed for the Rift, so it's not supported technically on other headsets. So yeah, the cutscenes, it was a whole new challenge, and what we came up with was different than what the I say we, but I'm on all the games. So what you guys came up with working on Edge of Nowhere was a little different than what Feral Rights came up with, which is then in turn a little different as well as what we did in the Unspoken when we added the campaign stuff. Although a lot of it does carry over. You want to make it sort of interactive because someone's just gonna be standing there. Yeah. They're gonna want to touch stuff. They're gonna want to do things, look around. But you got to make it so that they understand what they're seeing and go and get the story across. So it's a challenge for sure.
And the cutscenes in this game also kind of tie in with the theme of madness and going crazy.
Yeah, because it works perfectly because
you're dark, like mind environment.
So these are the journals you pick up. Let's show them the journal because I think. Well, maybe you can open it afterwards. Open it in the menu. See how all that handwriting? I believe Jose, didn't he create a handwriting font himself?
Oh yeah, multiple.
Yeah.
He had several people in the studio fill out letters for every single letter that we would need and numbers, and he created the fonts based on those.
Yeah, it looks awesome, doesn't it?
And even some people who don't work here, like I think somebody's mom or I don't remember.
Yeah.
It's always somebody's mom.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, it's just like those little things. You don't have to do those things, but we wanted to make it feel a little more authentic in VR. Like you're really picking up a book and reading it.
And that journal in the pause menu is pretty complex. Like you can flip between multiple sections, flip all these pages. The text is all localized and dynamic.
That's the other thing. It reads in different languages.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, so we're 30 minutes in. Anyone just joining us, we're playing Edge of Nowhere, which is Insomniac's first VR title. We've done 3. Joel Bartley is here next to me. He's lead gameplay programmer. He was on Edge of Nowhere. Thomas Hart is next to him. Adam is over there playing, as you can see with the headset on, trying to not get too scared. So we're here talking Edge of Nowhere, talking about the challenges of doing our first VR game, talking about whatever you want us to talk about. Really, just ask us questions in the chat, and we'll answer what we can. And we'll just watch Edge of Nowhere. We're gonna try to play through the whole game, not today, but over the course of the next couple weeks, we'll play through the whole game, and then we'll do Feral Rights after that. That game's a lot longer. Whoa.
Oh, one of the things I was going to say about the melee attack we were talking about before, it goes back to the other thing I was saying before, which is a lot of the code that runs that melee attack is the same code that runs Ratchet's melee attack, the same code that runs the melee attack in Sunset Overdrive. It's the same code that runs the melee attack in Fuse.
Yeah.
We share this code across all our projects, and it gets improved over time, and each game has to customize it. But a lot of this code, it ends up working as part of our engine, and we can use it across all these games.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we get this question a lot on social media. Like, what engine was your VR titles developed in, or what engine? I mean, every game. Whoa! It looks a lot. We see probably a lot more than he sees. Anyway.
Yeah, it's darker in here.
What was I saying? Oh, so like these, every game we've made, with the exception of Song of the Deep, because it was a 2D game. Every 3D game we've made has been the Insomniac engine since Disruptor, and we've improved upon that engine over the course of 4 years. Yeah, 24 years in February. Will be 24 years. 24 years now, and so yes, the current rendition of the engine started around Fuse, but you can't say, oh, Sunset ran on the Fuse engine. Well, no, not really. I mean, they all are the Insomniac engine, and they've all been improved upon during every game, not just between games, but during every game.
Yeah. And some games have much more robust melee system. So
I don't like that.
Feral Rights had a big set of combos that you can use.
It was like way more arcadey.
And Spider-Man has a lot of melee attacks that you can do.
You'll see. We'll talk combat in Spider-Man soonish. Sometime this year. Yeah.
And so we have to, have additional systems in games like that, as opposed to the simple 1, 2, 3 of a game like this.
Yeah. Well, so speaking, the timing of what you said in chat. Speaking of that, you should make Ratchet's melee attack more robust. So
you want to have combos in Ratchet?
Yeah. Well, that would mean we'd have to do another Ratchet. So we'll see. Who knows?
We could have Devil May Cry Ratchet.
Like, knock him up in the air.
Knock him up in the air.
Yeah. Then you could do a wrench only playthrough with some crazy combinations.
Yeah. You use both ends of the wrench, hit him with
the
butt.
like a Darth Maul wrench.
Yeah.
With two-sided wrench.
There you go.
Isn't that called a because the most wrenches are there are the two-sided wrenches with the loop on one end and the open part on the other end.
Right.
Those are just wrenches, right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if those have a special name.
I think they're just wrenches.
They're just wrenches with.
Yeah. So he could have one of those kind of wrenches. He has different wrenches, and then he has a ratchet wrench, and then he has a monkey wrench, and then he has he has a whole arsenal of wrenches.
I like where this is going.
We call it ratchet and wrench.
It's a wrench.
It's a wrench.
See,
we were right.
We
It's a wrench.
We were wrong because Ratchet's not holding a wrench; he's holding a half of a wrench. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, like Azimuth's wrench. That was more of a staff. How you feeling over there? You still good to keep playing, Adam? Or do you need a break?
I'm doing alright.
One other thing you can see on the screen here is the flashlight, which that also was kind of tricky to get right, because you want to
bias. Is that true?
What's that?
So if I look here, it seems to be matched up with my camera, but as I go slightly to the left, it seems to skew.
Yeah, there's some
Like that.
So the source of the light. So the flashlight is a spotlight, which is a cone. The source is coming from somewhere above the hero's head, but the target that you're looking at is coming from your headset.
Yeah.
So you want what you're looking at to be illuminated, but if the light was coming from
This is a good
your
example.
eyes,
Mm-hmm.
that would totally not make sense in the game world
Here, you
because...
can see the cone right here, what he's saying.
Yeah.
And so there's a bunch of stuff going on where when he's like right up against geometry, we have to kind of move that source point back in space so that the flashlight still illuminates the wall enough, because otherwise if it's super close you would just get a little tiny pinhole of light. So we had to do a lot of work to get it so you could actually see the things that you were looking at, but it still looks like the light's coming from his head.
Oh,
Nope.
You have to run first.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that went into, it goes into all of our games, especially with third-person cameras running into things and stuff, but specifically in VR because of the difference between a fixed camera based on the thumbstick versus your head can kind of do whatever. Should have a death counter. Yeah, we should have a death, especially when Adam plays.
So there is actually a death counter.
There is? Where?
Internally.
Oh.
And I forget what we do with it, but
Was that for
if you die,
usability tests or
if you
something?
die enough times, I think the game gets a little easier.
Oh, really?
well, it should be getting easy pretty.
I don't remember, not for the ice climbing, but I think maybe the enemies get a little bit easier or something.
So we basically feel sorry for you?
Oh, you know what? No, it's health. Initially, if you die, you come back with the same amount of health
Oh, I see.
as you started the checkpoint with.
And if you keep dying, you
If you
get
keep
more health.
dying, we give you back more health to try to get you
Past
so
that
you can
point.
get past that point.
That makes more sense. I like that. Especially when Adam dies all
There's
the
a
time.
ghost light here I just found.
Well, listen to the lighting artist talking about lights.
You want to come over here and talk about lights, Adam?
I feel uncomfortable. I didn't work on this game.
No, but you work on our engine. You know about lights. Yeah, pity health, exactly. We should have
Yeah.
called that the pity health.
I
Yes.
probably do. I would like a break. I think a little.
Okay.
Bit.
Yeah, we'll
We can
swap
switch
you out.
whenever.
We'll swap you out
Let me get
with
to
Thomas.
This kind of
or
section
Joel.
change right here.
This is the cool moment, I think, right? Isn't there this big... Or is that not yet?
I feel like it's coming.
It's all cool moments.
I
Like the big moment, though.
can't remember.
I can't
I
either.
think we're getting there.
We're getting there. They are getting more frequent, those spires.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the slide.
Oh, yeah. Yes!
Ooh.
Okay,
Look
this
at
one wasn't
love
my
the way that
fault.
looks.
look at that destruction. Oh, man, that looks good.
We got the
Jump.
tech to do that destruction like way late in the development cycle.
Yeah. I remember that was a late ad. Wasn't that was that Derek who worked on that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was that no? It was the guy, one other guy who
No,
also isn't here
Derek?
anymore. I think
No,
it
he
was.
started working around the same time.
Oh, yeah,
I
it
don't
might
think
not have
it
been
was
Derek
Derek.
then.
I thought he had some. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was
All right,
the
Thomas,
guy,
you wanna
the other guy
tag me out?
who was
Sure.
there before Derek. Is there an industry in the industry? Let's switch the couch real quick because you don't want to see a headset being switched. In the industry, is there a school that's more renowned than others? Well, so people ask this all the time. It's like it depends on what you want to do,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're going to school for art.
Gun, rock.
Well, I should turn this off because Thomas is not here anymore. If you're going to school for art, you want to go to an art school, right? If you're going to school for programming, you want to go to a good computer science school, or at least
I mean,
learn the languages that you need to learn.
there are quite a few people who work here who went to one of the video game schools like Full Sail,
Yeah, DigiPen isn't DigiPen?
DigiPen.
Yeah. There's a couple of DigiPen, I think. John and I think there's a couple
Yeah.
of Burbank.
I'd say still more of the programmers probably went to a traditional school and went to computer science or majored in computer science.
And we have some artists who went to art school. Let me switch back to the game. Went to art school like what's the one in Savannah?
Savannah College of Art and
Yeah.
SCAD.
SCAD and like this. So it just depends. Full Sail. Yeah.
I'm self-taught, so
well,
the
then
internet,
you're self-taught. There
the
you go.
internet is my teacher, and talking to people. But Nomon is a good school. I took some classes at Future Poly in Seattle.
So
There's a
the
lot of
point
good-
is,
yeah.
no, there's not one school you need to go to, but you need to focus on what you like. You need to not perfect that, but learn that.
What happened to our frame rate?
Can you refresh that? Yeah. Oh man, our frame rate. It's our. We gotta get our.
How do I refresh that?
Here.
On the Elgato?
Yeah, click it down, all the way down to the bottom. Right, left, up. In that little white window right there.
Sure.
Down.
And say Elgato?
Nope, not seeing it.
Yes, it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom of the white list.
The last line in the white box.
No!
Oh, God.
The last line in the white
Right
box.
here.
Yes.
Yes.
Right click, then go up to refresh. Yay, technical difficulties. There we go.
Are we good?
Yes.
So, anyway, that happened. This is why we do live stuff.
Luckily, that wasn't in the headset, or Thomas would be
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yanking that thing
Yes.
off about now.
Yes, that was not the game at all. That was the streaming PC. Anyway, what we were saying is, like, if you're an artist, it says, so you're an artist, so you're environment art, so you want to do like 3D art, you want to perfect that kind of stuff. And one thing we tell people a lot is don't just do what the schoolwork is. You're going to have to do it outside of school. You're going to have to do your own projects, your own fun stuff on the side. You can join groups of people who make games and just make fun games. Even if it's not like a fully polished experience, like from start to finish, make something.
Yeah,
Or-
the first thing I...
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying the first thing I ever made was a 3D like asteroid shooter.
Oh.
Just like teaching myself, messing around with stuff.
Yeah. Like, programming, you guys kind of do, like, for portfolio work, you kind of do a more, like, I think a little bit more of a completed thing in concerns of what a game is. Would you
I
say?
mean, what I
if
did
you're-
was certainly was not completed. It was,
'Cause I
it
know
was barely an idea.
in art, I know a lot of people starting out tend to take on way more than they can chew, and they try to
Right.
do they try to make a game, or they try to make a whole level, or they try to make character that's animated, etc., lighting and things like that. And even at a kind of smaller studios, you kind of want to pick what you really like, what aspect of that, whether it's a character or like a type of prop, like if you like vegetation versus hard surface, if you like weapons, if you like lighting and shading, those kind of things. It's really good to focus on that rather than try to tackle everything, because that's really hard. And especially if you're looking at AAA, that's nigh impossible to be that good at everything so that you can show you can get a job, but you're good at everything. You really do need to specialize a little bit. So
Yeah, that's the other thing is some people come up to me and say, I want to make games, but they don't actually know what they want to do. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to design levels? Do you want to make environment art? Do you want to do character art? Do you want to do concept art? Do you programming? Do you like systems? Do you like engine programming? Do you like... There's a lot. Audio. There's a ton of stuff. So,
The thing I always tell people for programming is to download a copy of Unity or Unreal, which are free for like educational use, and just start playing with it. Start making
Autodesk
stuff.
has all of their software is free for students and people learning. They have an Autodesk student community, and you just create an account and you can download and use it as much as you want outside of making profit off of it. So that's a good place to jump in.
what does Autodesk make?
Autodesk makes the majority of 3D software for modeling: Maya, Max, Mudbox.
Yeah.
For sculpting, you want to get ZBrush. They don't have a student edition, unfortunately, so you get 30 days, or you have to shell out like $700. But
Yikes.
Yeah, don't start with that.
but Mudbox would be something equivalent that you could get from Autodesk to learn sculpting. On that note, kind of a good thing to start off right off the bat with art is, do you want to do the design of what you're looking at, which would be more concept art in 2D, 3D, like still images, or do you want to make what goes in the game? Those are very different paths.
Yeah.
And another thing I know a lot of artists try to do is, that are 3D artists, is they try to design their portfolio pieces. So they're trying to do the concept design, which is a whole discipline in and of itself. And what I always suggest to people is go online to a site like ArtStation and find really good concept art and then model and make that, rather than trying to make your own design, because that's its own thing. So
yeah, and don't just make other people's stuff. Like, for example, if you're applying for a job here, we don't want to see Ratchet, like, because we know how to make Ratchet. We want to see how you can make your own version of other things and what's the story behind those things.
But in the style of Ratchet.
In the style,
would be
sure.
awesome.
The style
Yeah.
of the company you're applying
Exactly.
for. But don't just copy I modeled Ratchet. Well, that's cool and that's awesome. But we have people that model Ratchet. I mean, we have plenty of models of Ratchet. We don't need
There are
Ratchet.
people who've been modeling Ratchet for 20 years.
Yeah. So that's all I'm trying to say is know the company you're looking to apply to. If you're interested in that style, propose that style, but don't just copy one of their games and show it in your portfolio. Like, there was a guy at one of the shows we went to who had really cool Witcher stuff, but all he did was just, show Witcher stuff, and it's like, it was cool, but I want to see your own creativity showing through a little bit.
It depends on the studio too. I mean, there are studios that love it if you can show them exactly what they do. I know for a fact it depends on the place. For us, yeah, I think we want to see a little bit more flexibility than a direct copy, since we do a lot of different things with a lot of different styles as well.
Yeah, but if you do show it, like a Spyro model, if you do show it, make sure you have other things as well. Because,
Is the stream getting all these audio cutouts?
probably a little bit. We're having our TV's flickering a little bit for some reason. So you're probably hearing a little audio hitches. That's not the game. It's our TV. So I apologize for that if you hear that. How do you guys decide what games to make?
That's a good question.
So here's the deal with Insomniac. We are very open with everybody, and anybody could pitch an idea. You basically just submit your idea to the the people like Ted, basically, and they look at it, and if it's flushed out enough, they'll likely come back with like some questions, or they'll tell you need to come back with something a little more deeper and more explained, more flushed out. And then basically what happens is, once you propose an idea, it's essentially Insomniac's idea, and if it's good enough, we may make it. We may put it in a archive somewhere in case we need it at a future time. For example, Song of the Deep, I think they said there was 3 pitches that were related to submarine games.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a combination of 3 pitches. So it wasn't just one person's idea. And then usually what happens from that point is they'll find a creative director to lead the project. That person will have an idea. They'll bring on designers, a pre-production crew. We'll do like brainstorming meetings. People will throw out ideas. But there's always a group of people that kind of drive that ship. But everyone can throw out ideas for anything.
And while we do have tons of ideas, a lot of the times the games that we actually get signed to make are because, like, the publisher has
an idea, not of the game, but what they want,
kind of game that they want for a certain time frame.
Yeah,
I know that Chad, our studio director, often talks about how, like, when we made Resistance, it was because Sony said, we would like something a little more for the hardcore audience for the PlayStation 3 launch. Mm-hmm. And the same thing has happened multiple times over the years, where a publisher will say, we would like something a little like this, and then we can reach into our stable of ideas and
Spyro
pitch something.
Spyro was, we did Made Disruptor first, which was nothing like Spyro, but they wanted a mascot style platformer.
The era of mascot platformers.
But that's not to say like we always just have publishers come in and saying make this game. Like Sunset was a game that we wanted to make, that we pitched, and Microsoft was all about it. And so that was not them coming to us. That was, I mean, they wanted to work with us, but
Yeah.
we showed them the idea and they were all about it, and they were on the same wavelength as us.
That was probably more of a Microsoft saying, like, we want an Insomniac Games kind of game.
Yeah, exactly. And then we showed them Sunset, and they were like, "Holy crap, that's as Insomniac as you can
Sunset.
get." Yeah, that game was insane.
Wasn't Unspoken originally conceived pre-VR?
Yeah, Unspoken.
And it was shelved.
We
because
talked
they
about
were like, we can't do that.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know,
Like,
10,
how would
10
we do
years.
that?
I since I've been at the company for, this is my 8th year. I've seen multiple prototypes that were the same
Right.
idea as the Unspoken, and the Unspoken was the first time it became a real.
When I first
game.
started, there was a pitch called Wizards of
New York.
New York.
Yeah, that's where Unspoken came from.
That Unspoken eventually became.
Yeah.
Or came from.
But that idea was prototyped.
And
a
that
couple
was
times,
10 years before almost
Yeah.
the Unspoken came about.
Yep. So let me look at the questions real quick. You don't submit game ideas to us. We only take ideas from inside the company. That's just how we work, because legally it's better, and also we have over 200 people who are all very creative. So we're not for lack of ideas, that's for sure. So you guys decide on Spider-Man or where you approached. Oh, okay. So Spider-Man, Sony and Marvel, before we even got involved, wanted to make a game. Marvel, I guess, came to Sony. I don't know the details of that because I'm not Marvel or Sony. But they came to us, Sony, because we worked with Sony a lot, and asked us if we wanted to make a Marvel game. And we said yes. Well, we didn't say yes right away. We said, let's think about it. So we're like, what can we make? You know, and they gave us some options. And I think at one point, Brian Intihar, who's the creative director, was like, someone was like, let's do Spider-Man. Can we do Spider-Man? We asked, because like we don't know. You know, we don't know what character we were allowed to use.
Right.
Right. And as soon as they said, yeah, you can make Spider-Man, it was just like, then yes, we want to make a Spider-Man game. Because we have a lot of people in the company who are big Spider-Man fans, including Brian Intihar.
It's right up our wheelhouse again.
Yeah.
Third person.
So to say,
platforming combat.
so to say, and Sunset Overdrive, you know, was the same way. But to say Sony came to us. Sony did not come to us and say, "Do you want to make a Spider-Man game?"
Yeah.
We decided, we picked Spider-Man based on the available characters that we were allowed to use.
Yeah. And also the people that we had and their interest.
Yeah, exactly. And Sunset Overdrive and flying through the city, like it just felt right.
It feels like a natural evolution of
Yeah.
Sunset.
So that's how Spider-Man came about. And it's like I said, it's different for every game. I mean, obviously Ratchet, we don't have to be like, so Sony doesn't just say, we want a action platformer. No, it's like they have to want another Ratchet. We have to want to make another Ratchet, and then we usually work something out, and that's how Ratchet works, because it's been around 15 years. So
yeah,
new IP is different, obviously. For VR, it was Oculus coming to us saying, we would love to see you guys make a VR game, especially a third-person game, and then Edge of Nowhere was born. So, yeah. Hopefully that helps give you a little insight. And I'm by no means an expert in this stuff, because, you know, discussions happen between, you know, our higher-ups, Ted, and creative directors, and Chad, studio heads, and you know, they talk to publishers like all the time about just stuff. Like they're friends with half these people, so it's like. Yeah. But we do have I don't want to say like a lockbox of ideas, but we do have
We do have lists.
We do have plenty of ideas. Yeah. So, you know, if let's say someone came to us and said, we're going to give you all the money in the world, you can make whatever game you want to make.
Whoa.
We would be.
there it is.
Oh yeah, that looks awesome. we would have to work really. I think it would take longer to figure out which idea to use.
Yeah. If they had no like preconceptions on what it should be.
Third person, first person, VR, not VR.
And we've done some brainstorming on pitches for, leaving it wide open, and the variety of things that we've gotten is just so.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, some of the brainstorming meetings, they turn like
they get weird.
Even when you say this is what we're focusing on, everyone just starts throwing out
it's
ideas.
It's a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, and then other people start going off those ideas, and then you end up with okay, where were we?
Those are some of the most fun times that I've had working here, because it's just been like really stream of conscious and playing. It's kind of like riffing off of somebody else, like in music. You hear what somebody says, and it starts snowballing, and then once a bunch of people keep getting stuck to that idea, that's kind of when we start moving towards that direction. It's seemingly something we want to pursue as a studio or as a team on any particular game.
Yeah. So we're running out of time here, and I apologize to Euphoric Zero. Thank you for the follow. I missed that. So if you want to follow us, that'd be awesome. If you already do, thank you. If you want to join our Discord, that'd be awesome. The link is right below us. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, all those links are right there. I will again mention that soon, probably within 2 weeks. I'm hoping next week, but it may not be next week. We're going to build those PCs we talked about, those VR PCs, and then we're going to give those away. Not the same day we build them, but we will give you information on how to enter to win these PCs soon after. So
that should be fun.
So yeah, stay tuned to that. But you're going to want to follow us, because that's how you get this information about. We're not.
Got enough video cards?
I think you're going to have to follow us to be eligible to win.
Whoa!
Oh, there
what
it
a
is.
great place to stop.
I love that animation.
That looks hard.
That's Ben Van Dyken right there.
that feels like
that animation.
Yeah. So we're running out of time here. We're gonna cut off soon. I think are we to a point where we can save it? Can you save it, man?
It auto saves every time you get to a checkpoint.
So what we'll do is we'll pick up. I don't know when. Maybe in 2 weeks we'll pick up where we left off. You're wasting all the ammo.
Does that seem reasonable?
A shotgun from that distance.
Throwing rocks, of course.
He's got an arm.
Sure does.
Yeah. Will we ever do everything fuse again? Who knows what the future holds? That's what we like to say.
Yeah.
That's my catch line. We have learned over the 24 years to never say never, because if we said never, we probably wouldn't have been making Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Maybe we would have never made Sonic Deep or VR games. I don't know. There's a lot we've learned to never say never. So that same goes with pretty much all of our games, except I will say there's a low possibility that we will work on another Spyro game. There's a low possibility that we have no plans to do anything in Resistance. But that does not mean who knows what the future holds. That's all it means. There you go. The trailer contest was fun. Oh yeah, Fuse trailer contest. I remember that. There was that was really fun. There was some really cool stuff. So anyway, thank you for joining us. And tomorrow in Burbank, they are playing. Gosh, I wish I remembered. Corey, are you still in the chat? Just tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific.
Something great.
To watch something.
And it'll show up as soon as I end this stream. You will see the schedule, and those guys always have some fun stuff going on there. So tune in tomorrow. We're doing this 5 days a week. We'll be back next week. We'll finish Edge of Nowhere probably in about 2 weeks. Depends on when we build that PC. Maybe we'll do it next week if we don't build the PC next week. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Sorry again for some of the technical issues. We're still working those kinks out, as you can tell. And again, Joel is next to me. Adam, you'll probably see them again, I'm sure. Thomas, probably, I cut away from him, but he says goodbye.
Bye.
He says goodbye. And thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll